All right, Coach Dresser, kind of a roller coaster session. That's kind of the nature of the Friday morning session. Overall thoughts?
Well, obviously that was a really good win for Evan Frost over there. We were getting ready for Panero's match and Chittum's match across the way. So, there's some tough lessons you learn here for all of us. You get to this point and you're close and you're down to 12 and 16. What can you do to push over the hump? And some of it's wrestling related, some of it's, probably most of it's wrestling related. At the end of the day, there's one takedown that decides a lot of these matches. And so the guys that get them win the matches, and the guys that don't. And that sounds pretty elementary, but, Chittum's match, guy got one takedown, we didn't get a takedown. Panero's match, we didn't get away. And so those fundamental things will get you when you get to the end. But obviously very high level competition. The effort was really, the effort was there as far as, in the competition. My challenge to this team is going to be that if they really want to get what they want, they're going to have to separate themselves in the off season. They're going to have to separate themselves in the practice room. And that's been a hard thing for a lot of these guys to kind of grasp right now is that, you're not going to get out here and separate yourself out here if you don't start separating yourself in the practice room. And so we have to keep beating that drum. And, if everything's close in practice, everything's going to be close out here. But been around this a long time. And the guys that cruise to the medal rounds are pretty darn tough customers in the room. And so that's the challenge. And, you still got to look at it. With the exception of Bachman, these guys are all freshmen and sophomores. So, Chittum's second year wrestling, works tremendously hard. Got to get better at wrestling. MJ got to get better at wrestling. So, we got a bunch of guys that were seated in the middle of the tournament, and they got knocked out in the middle of the tournament, or towards the end of the tournament. That's just how it goes sometimes.
I think all the way back to last year at the Collegiate Rules, Evan Frost got tech-fouled by Nasir Bailey.
Yeah.
In the first period. In what ways have you seen Evan Frost grow in the last 2 years?
Well, the Frost brothers made good adjustments. I mean, he did. He didn't get close to getting turned this time, and it's been a while for him to get that one back. It's been 15 months. Jacob got to turn his around in 2 weeks from losing to Northern Colorado and then beating Northern Colorado. So those guys make good adjustments. They're probably the model of consistency right now for our young guys. And everything they do, they're very consistent, and they're pretty darn good at wrestling. They got good leg attacks. They get out most of the time, and they're pretty darn good at wrestling.
Heck of a run by Aiden Riggins at this tournament. Reached the round of 16 as the 30 seed. What do you have to say about his performance?
Aiden's gotten better. He really got better through the year. He started getting confidence, and he's a guy that's got a couple more years left. It's like what are you going to do between now and the next time you get here? And it's got to be substantial if you want to get a lot more. If you want to get to tonight, or especially if you want to get to tomorrow. There's a lot of work involved between getting eliminated at 3 p.m. on Friday and Saturday morning. There's a lot of work involved, and so you got to be able to pay that price. And again, it's a young team. Everybody that we brought, except for Bachman's, got a couple more cracks at it.
What has this tournament taught you about yourself?
About myself?
Yeah.
Well, I think the longer I've done this, I don't know if the right word's less emotional, but I think you learn to control your emotions because it's easy to live and die with these guys. And so just, again, try not to get too high and too low because they read you. So that's the hard part.
How hard is it to do that? Like, what do you do to keep that composure?
I don't know. Maybe just been doing it a long time. And it's hard. You have a really, really good year like last year. Kind of everything goes right. No injuries. You go win the Big 12. You get a trophy, and then you come back and you have a year like this. So I think you just have to look at it. This sport, all college sports, are becoming more of a business all the time. And in business, you don't have banner years every year. In business, you have good years and you have bad years usually. I don't want to say this was a bad year because we learned a lot, but we learned a lot this year because a lot of things didn't go right. So we just got to apply those and go forward next year.
And then Jacob and Evan, obviously, twin brothers, do everything together. They're almost exactly the same person, essentially. They're going into the blood around, there's so much that goes into the blood around, How special is it that they get to go in there together?
Well, it's very fitting. It probably wouldn't have it any other way, so I'm excited to see them compete tonight.
All right. Thanks, Coach.